Please note that this podcast does not substitute for medical advice. This episode is sponsored by Biome Renew.
Welcome to another episode of Microbiome Revolution. Very excited about today's chat. Ash, always on my left.
Yeah.
Good to have you. Haley, Malaika, awesome to have you guys as well. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you've been finding the podcast and the conversations around the microbiome, facts around the product range itself, and just why it's important to take care of our skin. I think the more I speak about this and the more conversations we have, it's really blowing my mind around the importance of just a routine and why the most or the biggest organ in our body should get a lot of care. But guys, thank you for joining us. Haley, thank you for coming all the way through from Krugersdorp. Secunda. But originally from Oklahoma.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. How long have you been in South Africa?
About 2.5 years.
Loving it?
Yeah, a little bit of culture shock.
Can you tell us something in Afrikaans yet?
Ek kan braaibroodjies maak.
Wow, that's awesome.
Pretty impressive.
That's very impressive. If you want to impress the South Africans, if you can do that, then that's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
that's
thanks for having
really
me.
cool to have you. Malaika, do you have a fun fact for us about yourself that you could tell us?
I actually don't know Afrikaans as well as she does. So, and I've been living here for a minute. So.
Can you tell us something in Afrikaans? No. Do you remember? Do you remember when we were at school and then you needed to tell your do like an essay after a holiday on your vakansie?
Listen.
And we all went to the ocean and had dogs, and and we on hunt.
Repeat the question to them and be like, "What did you do?"
That's amazing.
Let me know.
Well, Ashley's fluent in Afrikaans, so we're not going to ask him to say much because he just lives and breathes it, which is amazing. But just looking back at the conversations we want to have around the microbiome this morning, which we'll touch with Ash a little bit, but also just in regards to using it. I know that you guys have recently started using the product. You also, of course, have been a part of promoting us as a brand, which has been fantastic. You guys do an amazing job. We're so grateful for that. But the big thing for us as a brand is authenticity. And so using the product before speaking about it has been something we've been very passionate about. So Haley, I'll start with you. I know we spoke a few months back before using the range. You were pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
And from what I told you about the product range and the brand, how did that match up and what has been your experience?
Yeah, I think you were pretty spot on in your description, especially with it being a powerful product that is still gentle. So I have always been very passionate about skincare. I've been that weird girl in high school who knows that the skin is the largest organ and we have to take care of it. But being able to have access to products that are actually natural and not just trying to attract a more natural crowd, but is actually natural, actually organic, even to the point of not having fragrance, that really sold me.
You love that. I remember you're like, wait, it's fragrance free? Are you sure? Is it fragrance free?
I was like, so this all sounds great. Tell me about your fragrance. Yeah, so I have really been loving it. I feel like it is super gentle and gentle enough to, like, I have to just keep myself to using it in the morning and the evening. Like, I want to just keep using it like every freaking hour. I'm just like, let's go for that.
Bring it on.
Again. But yeah, I'm loving it.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Malaika, what about yourself? So maybe if we can start with, maybe if you've had any specific problem areas or things that you've wanted to tackle for your skin and what you've seen.
Okay, so for me personally, I've really struggled throughout my life with dry skin. And I couldn't get a product that would be good enough for me because all of the products that I've been dealing with and how my mom usually would deal with my skin problems is to just give me Vaseline. And I'll be like, girl, this is just making me shiny. It's not doing what needs to be done. So when
I'm just glowing.
I'm not glowing. I'm shiny.
I'm shiny different.
So once I started using the product and starting to see the effects and how good it was for me, it just made my whole life change, and it just opened up a new door to me, because I was like, okay, wait, there's actually products that can make me glow but not shine, and that's actually good for my skin, and that would not cause me to break out. I was excited.
That's amazing. I think that's going to be our new tagline. Going like
brother,
you want to try new stuff. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna go with that. That's gonna be BioRenew's new like way to draw people in.
Exactly.
But that's amazing, because I think like when you come across something that does what you wanted to do, not just shine, but like actually taking care of some of the needs you have is really, really important. So that's awesome to hear. Haley, you originate from the States.
Yes.
As we can tell from your, not the Free State,
No.
as we can tell from your accent and from what you've said to us. I mean, you might have been, you may not have been, but were you familiar at all with conversations around the microbiome? Is that something that you came across, or postbiotics or probiotics?
Probiotics, yes.
Okay.
But that was it.
That was it.
So,
because you sound like Fun Fact Haley from high school, right? That knew about,
It's like, you need to be taking a probiotic.
Exactly. Take your probiotics. But that's interesting, because Ash, you were mentioning to us, even in previous conversations as well, at how this is something new for us in our kind of area of living. But this is a global conversation that Europe and the Americas have had for
quite a while. I mean, it's close to 12 odd years since the Human Genome Project and the Human Microbiome Project landed. And a lot of the science was breaking back then. But it's those environments, it's places like San Diego that's very well known now for microbiome initiatives, places like London because of what happened at King's College. So if anybody's got Netflix subscriptions, you'll see this as something that
take your parents if you don't have your own.
That's regularly out there about gut health and so on. And the skin microbiome is something that's growing. It's not as far field forward as the gut health discussion is, but it's the same premise. In that you have to nurture these things and not neutralize these things. So with your understanding of it, it may have actually been there for much longer, just on the surface level. I mean, even the idea behind regularly taking probiotics and looking after gut health with things like kombucha and kimchi and those things, If we go back 6 years, nobody was selling us these things. We took probiotics only when we took an antibiotic. And that's not necessarily the message we were putting across. Even as practitioners, I'm a surgeon, so I've been quite gifted in that I could travel to so many different places to experience healthcare in different places. And I saw it firsthand in the universities in the US. I mean, I spent a few months there last year. And in the US, this is a readily taught thing. In the UK, it's a readily taught thing, but we don't really experience it as such. So it's very nice to have somebody from, I want to say, across the ocean here, in that your experience of things is different, and you somebody that could actually see how the globalization of a place like Africa is happening, right? You mentioned you live in Secunda, right? I mean, you look out these windows and you see a very different picture here in Johannesburg, right? Starting to look a lot more like what the US was. And then you ask yourself, what are we doing to our microbiomes in these environments by rapidly globalizing?
So it's a fast-changing environment that could be having, or is having, an effect on our microbiome as well, which has been interesting to hear in previous conversations. Actually, I would like you to, maybe in 30 seconds, even for listeners joining us for the first time, if you could give us a little bit of context into the microbiome, how it's set, and what we could do to improve that as well, in a shorter time as you can.
All right, good. So 30
great.
seconds, start the clock.
The
microbiome is actually a compilation of different species of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. And these things naturally are meant to be living on us for health promotion and for promoting processes on the skin. It helps us to grow our immune system. It has experience based on the experiences we have over our lifetime, which is what makes it different between different people. And some of us express other diseases more readily because our microbiomes are shaped that way. It's affected by how we come into the world. It's shaped by what we've been eating as children. It's shaped by all these things. And once you get into adulthood, it's more or less constant in your household between you and your spouse, whether you have animals or not. Are you using antibiotics flagrantly every time your nose leaks? All of those things are shaping the microbiome. And if you have a bad one from all these different areas, you're going to see disease more readily, and it's going to affect your longevity.
So that's the space for why we need to be aware of our microbiome, It's what we're exposing ourselves to. Also, what we're not exposing ourselves to. Even through previous conversations we've had, and for those of you following the podcast, we've talked about exposing ourselves with people buying soil that has microbiome compositions within it to expose themselves to certain things like the rise of allergies over the last few decades, because of how we take care of our bodies in different ways and how things have progressed, which has been quite interesting. But to bring it back to you guys, you started using products about a month ago, I would like to say.
Yeah, a
maybe
month and a half. Yeah.
more or less.
Yes.
I know that you love the fragrance-free element and some of the other ingredients that are non-existent in the product as well. Just tell us about your experience. What maybe where you started, if you've built a routine around it, and also some clear signs to you that, flip, man, this works. This is a great product.
Yeah. So I pretty much flocked to the same 4 or 5 products, which is the facial cleanser and the serum, which feels like freaking butter. It's just ridiculous. It's a dream on my skin. And then the scar treatment and the daily moisturizer or the enriched cream. I love both of those. So I just was using them and I could feel that it felt good on my skin, but of course it's gonna take a little while to see results. And so a couple of weeks in, I saw a selfie of my face from a couple of weeks prior, and I could see a lot of red spots compared to
previous weeks?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And this was maybe after using it for 2 weeks. I mean, that's nothing. That's not a lot of time. And then now there's significantly less redness. There was a ton really in here. So now there's just nothing. I mean, close to nothing. So that for me was a big thing. I've never really struggled with acne so much. So I couldn't use it based on how is it helping my acne? Like I couldn't relate to that. So I really didn't know what to look for. I didn't even recognize the redness really until after I had seen that selfie. I was like, wow, okay, there was a lot of redness.
Yeah.
So seeing that was just like proof to me that it really is doing its job.
Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, let's keep going with this stuff.
That's awesome. I love that, because sometimes we think about using products because we have some sort of skin ailment or issue that we're trying to sort out, like acne or pigmentation, whatever. But someone like yourself who didn't necessarily have something you were trying to tackle, but just wanted to maintain your skin, was also able to see results of something that you didn't really take notice of. Prior to using the product range as well. And so that's really, really good. Malaika, yourself, do you have a new favorite that is not Vaseline?
Yes, of course. For me, it is the serum as well. I really love the feel of the serum, especially because in the past, I never really took my skincare that seriously. And I never really took into account of what damages I'm doing by not taking my skincare routine seriously. So for the fact that I was able to receive this product and get a range of it with a reasonable price as well, that was amazing.
Good plug. I love that.
Yes. So with a reasonable price, I was able to start a routine and build it from the ground up and really use things that I really didn't know that I needed, but helped my skin so much. So for me, it's the serum above all, and the scoring treatment.
And
everything, and
no, that's
as well as the
that's amazing. I think, we live in a society where we want quick fixes to many different things, right? Like it has to be like now. And we have so much noise around us with many people, not just about skincare, but telling us about so many different things. So one of the things we hold quite fast to is authenticity and the experience of our product. So to hear that, you've come into it relatively not so long ago and have been able to see results has been fantastic. And it sounds like you're now building a routine around using the product range, because it does what it says in many ways. And also, I think you have this natural love for the product that's come from using it, right? So, Haley, I would maybe from that point ask you, people that haven't used a product like Biorenew or don't have a skincare routine, being Haley from high school that talks about skincare and championing skincare, what would you say to people considering, hey, do I need a skincare routine? Or is it necessary? What would you say to people thinking that?
Yeah, I would say it's absolutely necessary. Taking care of our skin is just like taking care of any other part of our body, where we need to be making sure that we give our body what it needs.
Yeah.
And that includes skincare. It's not this bougie thing. It's not for girls who just want to look pretty. It's for everybody. Even my husband is using you guys' products. So
He's off screen, you can't see him, but he looks 21.
yeah, so I would say yes, it's necessary. And then I would also say, if possible, use a whole routine from one company.
Sure.
Like I feel comfortable using all of your products because I know that there's not ingredients in that are going to fight against ingredients in another product, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything is working together because it's all from the same place and it's structured in the same way.
Sure.
So I would say yes, it's necessary, and when you can, get it all from one place.
Yeah.
The thing with Biome Renew, you said it earlier, it's very affordable.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, I think, for anybody.
Yeah.
That's a very big thing.
Yeah.
So
In this economy, yeah, I think that's such an important thing because from all our discussions and knowing the product and the heart behind it, it was to create a product that was very effective at an affordable price, so that skincare could be available to most people, if not all. And price not being a factor into that. And also the marrying of beauty and tech in other ways and I'm going to come to the tech side. I believe you both use the AI scanner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Malaika, you can tell us, please, about your experience.
with Okay, so the first time I did the AI scan, I was a bit skeptical, as anyone would be, because you're like, okay, what is a photo going to tell me about my inner, deeper problems with my skin? How is it going to tell me that, I need this and this and this? And then once you explained it and gave me a proper explanation of every concept that came up after I got my analysis done, I understood that, okay, wait, these problems are actually catering to me. And I was surprised at the accuracy with the eye age, as well as the, what was the other one?
The skin age, hydration,
Yes.
pore structure.
Yes. So I was so surprised as to see how much and how accurate it was catering to me, because with other people, they're not able to tell me how my skin is and what is happening with my skin. For the fact that I could get that analogy
For free.
just with the photo, I was.
And how does it make you feel that you can do an analysis? You get products that are shaped for you in a routine, so that you don't have to buy everything. It's nice if you buy everything. But I'm just saying you don't have to.
Please buy everything if you'd like to.
But the basis is you start to use something, and then you can trial by fire it by doing it again.
Yes.
Right. This is a public demonstration of how much we trust in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And also what I liked is I could also go back and to check my process
Yes,
and my
that's a
progress
good point.
from
Yeah.
what I've been using. So I really found that really amazing.
That's really, really good. And, we joke in saying buying all the products, but that's not really the idea. The idea is get what's right for you.
Exactly.
And what you need. And that scanner is great with that. Haley, you've used it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your experience?
yeah, I thought it was great. I liked that it gave me, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. I actually did it twice because the first time I did it, it said, I was in a different location. I was in Limpopo. And in Secunda, the air is very polluted.
Yeah.
So I noticed it like ran, where's my location? Then it said like air quality. And I thought maybe I should wait to test the air quality of my actual home. So I did it 2 separate times. But one of the times that I did it, it literally gave me one product that was an absolute must. So it wasn't that you were just trying to sell all of your products. It said, look, you can get what you want, but you should for sure focus on
this one. That's awesome. And I think, for those out there that are using the scanner or haven't used it, when you scan yourself and you do it again, do it in the same location, in the same setting, so you can match the results, even from a lighting perspective and all of that. So it can be as accurate as possible. And Ash, in terms of the AI scan and the information that we get out of that and so on, Haley made a point that it picks up location.
Well, exactly that. So the geolocation was something that was built into this for a good purpose, right? So like you rightfully said, the pollution may be higher where you live versus Limpopo. I mean, you may be out in a game farm somewhere with fresh, clean air, not exposed to those elements. Sure, it will match this to your concerns in that area and derive something. But your environment imprints on your microbiome. And we've been saying that before, in that your microbiome is shaped by the amount of pollution you're exposed to over time. So if you start to use you'll notice it, you may be using more rigorous products in an environment that is more polluted versus you had a simpler routine when you're out in the bush, for example. And it's not a coincidence, it's built that way. So you look at the individual in their concerns, you look at the microbiome concerns, you look at the environment, and you put those three things together, right? You can change your environment, like you rightly said, move to Limpopo if you want to. You could change your microbiome by using products that facilitate this, but you can't change your genetic structure. See, that's where the problem is. So if you have a three-prong approach here, at least two sides of this you can get sorted out by embracing the microbiome. And what does it mean, right? There's a notion that I'd like to place here of One Health. It's an important thing, right? So if you've got a healthy planet, a healthy environment that you live in, a healthy body, this all filters right down through that household. It'll start from the outside right down through this household. Your kids are going to be healthier. Everyone is going to live longer if we start to look at these things. I mean, a simple example was the people in the rice paddies. We spoke about that once upon a time also. Have you ever seen bad skin on somebody working in a rice paddy? I haven't. Right? It's the same thing. Like you get these people that are floating around on the Amazon there, right? They've got wonderful skin. Healthier than all of us, right? And it's again life choices.
That's interesting, very, very interesting. I think looking at marrying the beauty intake element and what's available to us too. We live in an incredible time, right? Which gives us many things at our fingertips. We know, we touched on it on a previous conversation that there's so much advice out there. There's so many people telling us many things, and it can be really, really confusing at times to know what is actually good for us and what is good for our bodies, what is good for our families, that is going to make a real improvement. And coming to that point, Haley, you've recently built up a fairly good following on your social platforms, and you have people listening to you, right, and to what you have to say in various ways, which is quite a cool thing, which I'm sure pretty nerve-wracking at the same time as well.
Yeah, was unintentional.
Yeah, it just happened, which is amazing. But I suppose from a responsibility standpoint, because just getting to know you a little bit through conversation and messages and so on, that was a big thing for you. Like, if I'm sharing this or if I'm speaking about it, it's got to be not just authentic but real, right?
Yeah.
What would you say as someone that has built up a following of people that listen to you for all sorts of stuff right now? Why is that important to you?
Yeah. So people are listening. I mean, I've said on multiple times, my husband has the best sense of humor ever. So he's constantly like, "Oh, my wife, the influencer." And I'm like, that's an offensive term. It's just weird. It's uncomfortable because I'm not influencing anyone to do anything.
Sure.
I'm really not. But I had somebody reach out to me and, cause if you've got an amount of followers with a K behind it, you're going to get emails and you're going to get messages. So somebody said, "I know you may not consider yourself an influencer, but you should realize you are actually influential. So, would you please sell my brand?" That sort of thing. And I was like, eh. But the fact that she said you are actually influential, I was like, wow, that's true. True. Call yourself what you want, but people are listening.
Yes.
And so the entertainment that people originally came for, I can still provide that while also providing something with a little more oomph, with a little more meaning to it. So then you just have to decide, like, people are listening, what do I want to give them? I have their attention. I can give them whatever I want.
Yeah.
Social media is giving just about everything. And when you have people on your doorstep, you get to decide what they will hear from you. And so it's actually a really powerful place to be in. And you have to use it wisely. Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. I'm trying to think of the Batman quote, but I can't right now. But it's really true. Like, where when you have people that are listening to what you're saying, no matter how you may think of yourself, you have a platform to share and to say stuff. And with that comes the responsibility of what am I sharing? And so for us, knowing that you use it and you love it and you're sharing it from that perspective is fantastic. Really, really good. So Malaika, yourself, as we talk about, kind of what your experience has been and so on and so forth, just from you mentioned not having like a routine in the past, and that was something that wasn't really a big thing to you. looking at the age demographic that you're in right now, lots of influences, lots of conversations, lots of, hey, do this from 5 a.m. in the morning, or take this, or try this, or whatever. I want to ask you a twofold question, right? What is it like receiving all of that noise as a young person? Because there's so much being thrown at you. And then also just to touch on what Haley said, when you have a position and a responsibility to share stuff, why is that important to you as a person to be able to share authentically from a real place?
Okay, so to deal with the noise, with my generation, there is a lot of noise, and everyone is just trying to either sell you something or tell you something or tell you that you're doing something wrong. So I'm trying to go against the norm and not tell you what to do, but just show you what I'm doing. And if you see that and you're inspired by it, then that's your narrative. Jump onto it, because I'm also, at the same time, I am the kid or the young adult that watches and sees and is influenced by your Haleys and everything like that. So I want to also create a platform where you can just watch me and then also feel, if you're comfortable, to do what I do. If you don't, that's okay. I'm not pushing it onto you. But dealing with the responsibility of having people watching me and what I put out, honestly, I want to put out as much truth as possible, because there's a lot of lies out there with what people are telling you. They sell you something and it's not what it is. So I just want to put as much truth and honesty towards people that this is a very safe place and that you can rely on me for certain things like skincare, because I use it and it feels great. And just a whole lot of transparency to be put out there so that they know that this is a safe place.
Truth matters, right? Truth matters.
Exactly.
All in all spaces, everywhere, all the time. Like, I think there's not a space where truth shouldn't matter.
Exactly.
And so to have an opportunity to share truth and product as well, or an experience, it's not just buy and renew that we're talking about, but hey, how's it improved my life in some way, shape, or form, is actually really, really cool. Guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being a part of this chat and for sharing some of your views. We're probably going to get you on again in a couple of months once you've been the cool kids. Then that's Ash and I. We'll invite you guys as well.
Okay. They are the cool. Okay, got it.
Yikes. Should we just go?
Honestly.
But no, it's been really refreshing to hear your insights. A lot of the conversations we've had on the podcast has been from a medical standpoint, and trying to bring that conversation into it. But I loved what we had to say there about experience and truth and responsibility, because for us that matters. Like, when we say something, we think through it. It's something that we put out there that we believe in, and so for you to be on that side of feeling that from a phone call or a message, hey, this is what we're about, experience it yourself. You've experienced it, and now it's the same on your side. That is very, very, very cool. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening. As always, we really, really value you logging in or just watching the content and educating yourself. Please go through and watch the other podcasts that we've discussed, from the first 1,000 days of a baby's life to various other topics. There's more coming. The more I do conversations around the microbiome, the product, the people, I'm learning all the time, and we want you to go on that journey as well. So thank you for joining us. Until next time.